Hi, my name is Daniel Mora. I'm a senior product designer with the authorization authentication group at GitLab. And today I want to walk you through the latest updates of the RBAC work that we've been doing. That's role-based access control project, and how we're going to be moving forward with user testing, and kind of just the state of the project right now. So I'm going to split this video up into two halves. The first half of this video will be kind of like a walkthrough for the current state of the designs, how I created the prototype, and some of the possible pitfalls to be aware of when it comes to creating such a complex prototype in Figma. This one's quite robust and lots of interaction points. And then in the second half, it'll kind of jump to a second recording I've made. It'll talk about I'll walk through the process of the prototype and how it actually works as I demonstrate the flow, and that will be used as kind of like a visual aid for presentations outside of this particular presentation. So to start off with, currently the prototype is set right now with a number of variables and interaction points. I actually have two versions of this where one is a single select interaction and one would be a multi-select interaction. And you can see what that would look like here to some degree. Let's see, get rid of this. So the idea is that instead of just having one of these selected to go through the process, you could actually go and select multiples. So there's a bit of super complexity here with that project. I did encounter a few problems along the way in making this. I had some help from Dan Mitzi Harris, and he was able to help me and try and create a let's see if it's on the screen or not. Help me with creating some interactive components that I was not able to reproduce on my own. So I'll actually create the second iteration with the multi-select with a different type of interactive component to try and minimize a lot of this clutter. One of the problems I was encountering was load times, where we would give a presentation and somebody on the other end, or somebody who did not have a really good computer, was presenting, and it would kind of just bog down their system. I don't know the status of their computer, if you're using Chrome or something, but if we're going to use this in a testing environment, I'm not sure if this much interactivity or complexity when the prototype would actually be causing the problem, or if there was something else, but I wanted to try and minimize those variables. So basically, as I go through real quickly, I'll just run through this as the UX side of it. The idea is a lot of the visuals has been cleaned up. It's actually using correct components we have in the platform, with these kind of new components that we have that we want to use as a way to expand content and interact with it. So there will be a few new pieces that'll be hopefully designed for this project as we go forward. Let's see. The idea for right now is, let's see if I can find it. For an MVC of this project would be, maybe it's this one real quick, where we go through and actually only offer one permission that'll be interactive, or I should say this list will probably be greatly truncated, just as a way to test this whole new idea, since this is a total redesign of our permissions architecture. We have right now a problem where we just don't have the dev resources to investigate the amount of interactivity that's going to be done, or not so much of interactivity, but complexity associated with our permissions model, where all of the permissions have some sort of relations that are not cleanly defined. So as an example, this here would be view project code as a permission. If you disable that, that has some implications in, for example, merge requests, where you can't apply code suggestions, or you probably wouldn't even be able to see code suggestions. So there needs to be an engineering I guess a spike or a discussion on what are these permissions that actually touch one another, and how do they actually connect. So if I were to toggle something, it would basically work as a unified connection or a unified toggle where I don't have to go and individually toggle things, and things will get broken if they're not toggled in groups or pairs. So that might actually cause some of this content to be changed, and probably reduced, actually, because if the example would be if I were to make or prevent somebody from doing anything with the code, then those touch points would then be disabled or grouped as one. So we'll see how that goes as we get a more defined picture from engineering on what the problem looks like and how they want to solve it. But for now, like I said, this is the state of our current prototype. It's pretty polished. It's ready to go. I've already gone through some testing with some internal stakeholders. And right now I am scheduling interviews with end users and particular clients that we have to try and get more hands-on testing done and actually get that feedback that we need from those enterprise users. So now I'm going to jump into the prototype itself and just kind of explain the process of how it would work and how we'll use it to test with end users. So we're looking at the admin screen right now, and the idea is that we'll have a new section labeled roles and permissions where system administrators can manage their permissions model based off of whatever they are needed, whatever's needed for their environment. So the idea is they'll go here and see these two sections. This would be your custom roles and our GitLab standard roles. The standard roles are the current roles that exist within GitLab today, so the 5 guest, reporter, developer, maintainer, and owner. These will be used as kind of like a template where you can build your own custom role off of, and I'll go into detail a bit about that. So we keep the standard roles kind of like as for, like I said, a template, but also as a way for troubleshooting. You can't delete these or modify these. They're kind of like a pristine state. And you would, again, like I said, build off of these. Below this, you'll have a section called permissions. This would be, currently in documentation, we have just a huge table of all of our permissions, but that's going to be reorganized to be relevant to particular categories, so things like namespace, repository, product management, merge request, and CI/CD. So from here, let's go ahead and create a new role. And we'll give the new role a title, and we'll call this title Incident Manager. And right now it's looking, the default or the 0 state would be the guest role. So this is the guest role and its permissions, the associated permissions within this role. And if you go through the list, you'll see there's various permissions here in this table, and they'll change based off of whatever I have as my role template. So let's go back to this, and we'll change it to a developer. So now we'll see this column has been changed to the developer role, and the permissions have now changed. So from here, we'll go ahead and create a custom permission. So in this case, I'll want to say that our incident manager custom role will have the ability to view insights in the environment. So we'll allow that, and then we'll save it. And now that brings us back to the previous screen where we have our incident manager for our new custom role. Before there was only the empty state or the 0 custom roles. And we also have our standard 5 roles that exist within GitLab. And you can switch back and forth between those. As you create more custom roles, they will populate this section here. And the next step of adding that role to a user or a member within your environment will still be the same. So nothing's really changed in that capacity as of this point right now. So yeah, that's the first rough walkthrough we have of our our prototype for this custom roles and permissions, and I'd love your feedback from that.